flare it, they burn it coming out of the pipe oftentimes. So now the Biden administration is announcing the EPA is going to crack down on that. They're going to try to force big oil companies to both monitor and fix and repair and capture all of that methane, which actually would make those companies money because it is a fuel source. The EPA estimates it would cut 41 million tons. That's as much as all the carbon dioxide emitted by all the cars in America a couple of years ago. So if that sticks, but the Supreme Court has just agreed to hear a case really that challenges the EPA's right to regulate greenhouse gases. So this will, of course, play out in Congress and the courts because we live in a giant, messy democracy.
It is a giant, messy democracy, but that's amazing, that imagery of that methane and the infrared. The former president pulled out of the U.S. out of the Paris Accord. The current one, he's saying he's sorry. Listen.
I guess I shouldn't apologize, and I do apologize for the fact the United States, the last administration pulled out of the Paris Accords and put us sort of behind April.
Now, what do you make of Biden calling out Trump at this climate summit?
I think it was absolutely necessary. That's why he came here with all of his cabinet, because historically the United States has put more sort of planet-cooking pollution into the sea and the sky than the next few nations combined. If you priced it out at $100 a ton for carbon capture, the total bill would be $50 trillion. I mean, that seems like a laughable number, but that's where we are in terms of the gap between what the world expects to see the U.S. step up and clean up its own mess. And so, yes, it was apologies and promises that they're going to quadruple their commitment to a fund that helps developing countries adapt and mitigate going forward. The rich countries promised $100 billion a year years ago. They've yet to pay that tab in any meaningful way. So you hear a lot of frustrations from the smaller countries. And then this deal with the EU to help South Africa specifically get off of coal sends a message that the commitment is there.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the big messy democracy reference coming back now is they're worried that this could waffle. President George W. Bush backed away from the Kyoto protocols many years ago. And then Trump, of course, pulled out of Paris. What happens if the White House swings Republican in a few years? That's the concern. But they're also pressing the message that 60% of the U.S. economy, big states like California, New Jersey, are doing everything they can along the terms of the Paris Accords, and that ultimately the free market may not be moving fast enough to meet the demands of science, but just as sort of the momentum of moving away from whale oil, a century ago, and moving away from horses and buggies into automobiles,
Right.
The energy sector is going to get clean. It's just the smartest business going forward. So they're hopeful that that momentum, both in the public-private sector, would survive any switch in the White House.
All right, Bill, we're about to